per mole of heat. So 139 kilojoules per mole. That one we call the heat, which is a standard enthalpy of formation of this particular compound. So that one, you'll find that for us to be showing that we're indicating that standard enthalpy, of course it is important for us to designate these particular letters to indicate the state of the reactants and the product. And then you'll find out that there's another term that we shall use to denote what we call different elements. You will see that of course this is a form of carbon that we call graphite. Carbon has got different allotropes or forms. Of course this is a graphite, and then we have another one that is known as diamond. Is an allotrope of carbon. So in this case, you will find that the most stable form of this kind of element under standard conditions of temperature and pressure that we have mentioned to be 1 atmosphere and 5 degrees centigrade. The most stable of these allotropes that we have mentioning of an element under standard conditions of temperature and pressure is known as a reference form of an element. So the most stable form of an element under the conditions of standard temperature and pressure is known as refers to the most stable element, or in that case most stable form of an element under standard condition is known as reference form of an element. So for that case, the standard enthalpy of formation of this kind of element, of course we have mentioned about graphite, and the graphite in this case of course is the most stable form of carbon, graphite. So its enthalpy of formation, with reference with this, we are using it as a reference form of that element of carbon. So its standard enthalpy of formation will be given as 0. Remember, when we are talking about, even in mathematics, the concept of graving, we do have what we call our origin as a reference point. So in this case, of course, they are not all that related. It is a concept in chemistry, but we can understand from that perspective using the analogy of the two, that the reference form of an element, so the reference form of an element is the most stable form of that element. Of course, like carbon, we have said it displays allotropy, so its most stable allotrope, which is graphite, has got the standard enthalpy of formation, which is 0. Now for that case, as we have mentioned,